I'm going to answer those key questions over the pregnancy, growth, and development. And this is the diagram I'm going to use. So, question number 1, describe the pregnancy, including the major development changes that occur during the each trimester. So, pregnancy is just the presence of the offspring in the uterus in the female body, and which they will last like 40 weeks, which is about 9 months, and there will be 3 trimester. So the first 3 months will be the first trimester, and this fertilized egg, the zygote, will be just developing into the embryo and will be implanting itself to the uterine wall. And the next 3 months, the second trimester is just the embryo is developed into fetus, and the fetus is growing in the uterine wall, and then the sex becomes apparent, and the heart is just some of the organs are developing, like a heart is pumping, and then bones are getting hardened. So there's those during the second trimester, so some of the organs will be formed. And the last 3 months of the pregnancy will be the third trimester. So the fetus will be just keep developing, and then brain will be developed as well, and then the bones will be hardened, strengthened, and the skin will be also developed during this stage. So they are getting prepared for the baby are getting ready for the outside world, the birth. And question number 2, describe the major stages of prenatal development, and including those cellular progression. So this is the diagram I'm going to use to answer. So this is the ovary here, and this is the fallopian tubes leads to uterus. So this, in the ovary, the eggs will be produced and then coming out, and then egg will be produced. Egg will be fertilized in the zygotic stage. So as a zygote, so they will be just the cell division will be happening, and the cleavage stage. So those fertilized egg begins to develop into the embryo. So the embryo will be just about the day 3 or 4, there will be morula stage. The embryo consists of the more solid those mass of cells, like 8 or more, like 8 or 16 or more cells. And then day 5, there will be a blastocyst. So this embryo made up of about, by that time, by day 5, about the day 5, the embryo will be made up of more than 100 of cells. So due to the cell division, the active cell division. And then there will be a gastrula stage. So there will be implanted, the blastocyst will be implanted in the wall. So the gastrula is formed from the blastula, and then will be implanted into the uterine walls here. So they are after the gastrula stage, then basically the gastrula has a couple of gem layers, and each layers will become the specific tissues in the embryo. So then after embryo will be developed into the fetus, and around 9 weeks of time, 9 weeks of development, and then the fetal stage will be beginning, and it will last, the fetal stage will last till birth. So this is the major stage of prenatal development. And Question number 3, describe the major stages of postnatal development. So postnatal development is just after birth. So it will the first 4 weeks of life after the birth. So it's called the neonatal. So this neonatal stage, the babies they will learn how to breathe and how to eat and how to digest the food and also excrete some urines or the waste. And then there will be, after the neonatal stage, there will be infancy, which is about after the prenatal stage, then it's until the 1 year old. So the babies are growing fast, and those muscular system and nervous system will be developing and getting mature. So, and also they just learn how to communicate. So communication begins. And there will be a childhood, from 1 year old to the a teenage, a puberty. So during the childhood, those growth will be fast as well. The growth rate will be still fast, and the muscular system will be developing, as well as the intellectual ability. So they will be both getting mature. And then there is the adolescence. So adolescence is just a puberty to adulthood. So the biggest changes, they are just getting able to reproduce. So they are reproductively functional, and they are also getting some emotionally getting mature. So those are kind of things happens during the adolescence. And then there will be a adulthood. So it's basically like a whole after the adolescence, and then remains unchanged. So pretty much mature, and they just there's not much of a change, there is no growth anymore. But later there will be a degenerative change. The degenerative process will begin. So, and then the last stage of the postnatal is just a senescence. So senescence is just the older ages, senior ages. So those degenerative process will continue, and then which will eventually lead to death. So that's it. That's the postnatal development. And question number 4, compare and contrast C-sections and vaginal deliveries. So C-section is just a surgery to deliver baby taken out through the mother's abdomen, and the vaginal delivery is just a natural birth, usually just through the vaginas. The baby is coming through the vaginas, and it usually the mothers will recover faster. I mean, in case of the vaginal delivery, and they have some pros. I mean, on this vaginal deliveries, so the recovery is faster, and the babies, while their babies are coming from the vagina, they just receive the helpful amount of good bacteria, so they can boost the baby's immune system. So that is the pro. They also have cons, they can be a vaginal tearings and some perineum pains that can be followed. So that's the C-section and the vaginal deliveries. And question number 5, explain what circumstances can lead to a miscarriage. So the miscarriage is just when the fetus is dead, before 20 weeks of pregnancy, and it sometimes happens without knowing, and it just often happens because the fetus is not developing normally. And it is said that there are lots of factors that can be considered. So it's not just one thing, but a lot of things can be considered. But most of maybe can be the mother's health conditions, like if they have any pre-existing disease or anything. And it can also be very genetic or environmental thing. So there are very complex mix of factors that can influence those miscarriages. So question number 6, describe how in vitro fertilization can be used to help a pregnancy be successful. So this IVF is one of the assisted reproductive technologies. So basically the eggs and sperms are removed from ovaries and testes, and they can be combined outside of the female body in a lab setting. So then those fertilized egg will be transferred into the female uterus for the implantation. So that is how this IVF goes. And question number 7, explain how the pregnancy test works to detect pregnancy. So this pregnancy test is detecting the certain hormones called HCG, and there is this HCG hormones can be is produced by the fertilized eggs. So it can be detected both in the blood or urine, but in the blood it can be detected like after only 8 days of fertilization, but in the urine it's a little later, like 10 days after fertilization. So there can be those hormones, the HCG hormones can be detected from the urine, and if it is detected, it means that we are pregnant.